What is up, boyos, and welcome to Last Week in Games, where everything is video games. And today I am joined by nobody. So I really wanted to come on here and talk about what's going on with Xbox. Like, what is all this stuff going on with Xbox? If you follow gaming news at all, I'm sure you probably heard about it, but just to sort of summarize what's going on with Xbox, I guess it has been rumored, according to Jeff Grubb, he has heard rumors that Microsoft may be considering bringing games like Gears of War, Starfield, and the upcoming Indiana Jones game to PlayStation. Now, this is a really big deal. Obviously, if you're kind of confused on why this is a big deal, I guess I'll do my best to kind of explain why I think it's a big deal and why I think everyone should probably think it's a big deal. Now, before I get into all of that, though, I just want to start off by saying these are rumors. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's coming to PlayStation, or if anything's coming to PlayStation, or maybe Xbox is doubling down, or if these were just internal conversations that were happening over at Xbox and they decided, no, we want to keep exclusives, right? So we don't know yet whether or not Xbox games are coming to PlayStation. We already know there are a couple games on PlayStation, like Minecraft. That's a huge game that's already on PlayStation that is owned by Xbox. And you could say, hey, that was already on PlayStation. But what I would say as a retort to that is, when the new generation of consoles came out, they continue to update it. They continue to port it to other systems. So it's not like they stopped once they acquired Minecraft. Maybe that's what the conversation is. Maybe the conversation is just, hey, we want to keep all of the Activision games on PlayStation. Maybe we want to put Bethesda games on PlayStation and keep some of our internal teams exclusive. So there's a lot that we don't know yet. Phil Spencer did come out and say, hey, we hear you, and we are planning to do a business update event next week. I almost didn't do this video today because it's kind of rumored that they might do this meeting on Monday, which is when I plan on posting this video. So this video might be old news by the time it goes up, but here we are. I'll talk about the update though when it finally comes out, and I will be updating this video for sure. But this is Last Week in Games after all, so we're going to be talking about last week's gaming news. Here's why I think it's a big deal if Xbox games go to PlayStation. If Xbox doesn't have exclusive games on their console, to me, kind of makes the Xbox redundant. Like, why would you buy an Xbox, right? Like, that's kind of the conversations that are coming. And now this is not me saying, oh man, I really love exclusive games and every game should be exclusive. But from a business standpoint, you have to understand the reason the PlayStation sells so well is because of its exclusives, right? Like, it's because of games like The Last of Us. It's because of games like Spider-Man. Like, that is why the PlayStation sells so well. It's all of those games plus the third parties. Now, Xbox has clearly not been selling as well as PlayStation, basically ever, but especially this generation. We've seen a huge downtick in sales of Xbox, and I think if they get rid of exclusive games, those sales numbers are going to go down even further. But here's my thing about it. I think Xbox is fully aware of that. And I honestly think the reason Xbox sales have gone down so substantially is because Xbox games are already not exclusive. They're all day and date on PC, right? Like, and they're aware of that. They know since our games are on PC, we're going to sell less consoles. I look at myself personally. I own a PlayStation 5, I own a PC, and I own a Switch. And I feel like I don't have any reason to ever buy an Xbox because I can play every Xbox game on my PC. And I think a lot of other gamers think like that too. Like, hey, I'll pick up the PlayStation because it has exclusives. And if I ever wanted to get an Xbox as well, I will just pick up a PC, right? And I think a lot of gamers feel that way already with the Xbox. And I think that's one of the reasons, one of many reasons why the Xbox is selling not so well. But like I said earlier, just a second ago, I think Xbox is fully aware of this. And I'll get to that in just a moment, but I do want to throw out one more thing here. The last console manufacturing company that decided to go third party like this was Sega, and Sega no longer makes consoles. So, I mean, that is something to keep in mind as well, and why I think people think this is a really big deal. And I think people are like, well, is this the last generation for Xbox? Phil Spencer has already come out and vehemently rejected that idea that they're going to stop selling consoles. And I don't think he's lying. And now let me get back to my one point where I was saying that Xbox fully understands that their console sales are going to go down due to this. I think they fully understand that. And I think they're okay with that because I think their business strategy has completely changed. I think Xbox, ever since Game Pass has come out, has put themselves in a position where they're no longer competing with PlayStation. They're now competing with the likes of Steam, right? They want to be a platform like Steam. We want to compete on the PC space. And here's another, thing to keep in mind as well that a lot of people aren't mentioning. Most PCs run on Windows. And who owns Windows? Microsoft. Who owns Xbox? Microsoft. So if all of those Xbox sales get moved over to PC, that's fine. That's totally fine. Because that just means more sales for Windows. Like, it doesn't make much of a difference, and people are still going to use their platform and through the Xbox app, which is conveniently pre-installed on every Windows device, as well as getting more and more subscriptions through Game Pass. If you're primarily PC, you don't have to worry about exclusives like that. I mean, you could look at Steam even, which is owned by Valve. Valve, when they made games, they don't really make games as much anymore, but when they did make games, their games weren't exclusive to Steam. A lot of their games came to Xbox. A lot of their games came to PlayStation, like Half-Life, and I remember when the Orange Box came. Like, that was a huge deal when it came to consoles. I don't think Xbox is worried about that because I think Xbox is mainly focused on making Game Pass their main squeeze, their main cheese, right? Like, that's their main business model at this point, I think, is just getting as many Xbox Game Pass subscribers as possible. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, if that's the case, then why are they putting their games on PlayStation? PlayStation will never allow Game Pass to be on their system. And I don't think that will ever happen. But let's say the next Halo comes out, right? Or let's say Gears of War. Let's say the next Gears of War comes out and it comes to Game Pass day and date. It also comes to PlayStation day and date, which, like I said, that's just rumors. We don't know yet. It comes to PlayStation day and date, and it comes to Game Pass on PC day and date. And now they're telling you, hey, if you already have a Game Pass subscription, which is on PC or Xbox, you get it for free, essentially, because you already have the subscription, or you have to pay $70 over on PlayStation. Either way, Xbox is winning in that situation because Xbox is making $70 from PlayStation and gaining new subscribers over on PC. So, like, either way, it's like a win-win for them. And I think that's where their brain's at right now. And I do think they will continue making consoles, and I think they are fully fine with them not selling a lot of consoles, because I think right now what these consoles are just a cheap option if you can't afford like a nice PC to play these games. Here's a cheap option to get Xbox Game Pass. Like, that is what that system is now, which potentially is a more niche sort of audience, but it's a subscription service, and I think it's a niche audience that will pay more in the long run than having someone who owns an Xbox and buys one Call of Duty game and the thing sits on its shelf forever. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know what's going on. I'm excited to see what they say at this business update that is coming. Xbox is fully aware that they're losing the quote unquote console war. But when it comes to business, it's not about who's selling more consoles. It's about who's making more money. And I think Xbox is saying, hey, we can make more money for our company if we transition into more of like a PC centric studio where we're trying to sell more PCs. We're trying to get more Xbox Game Pass subscribers. Hey, maybe we can get Xbox Game Pass onto the Steam Deck natively. Hey, maybe we can get Xbox Game Pass onto the Nintendo Switch natively. And maybe in the future, hey, maybe we could get Xbox Game Pass onto the PlayStation natively. I don't think that'll ever happen, but if Sony is aware that Xbox is no longer their like one-to-one competitor, it might be more likely, like 20 years down the line where Xbox isn't like really selling consoles the way it used to and PlayStation's still out there selling consoles, they might just look at Xbox and say, hey, put Game Pass on here. It benefits both of us. So I don't know. Xbox seems to be in sort of a weird situation, and I could be completely wrong about this. To be honest, what could be happening is they tried this Game Pass subscription model and it wasn't as successful as they thought it was going to be. Like, that is a total possibility as well. And now they're trying to pivot and trying to find a way to sell their games again because they've already made this promise that day and date their games are coming to Game Pass. Well, what's a way we could sell our games again? Put them all on PlayStation day and date as well. They may come out and say, hey, our games aren't coming to PlayStation day and date. They're actually timed exclusives for Xbox, and then in a year will come to PlayStation, which is another possibility. So, I mean, there's a world of possibilities here. We don't know what's fully going on yet. These are all just speculations, but very, very interesting stuff to say the least. I'm very, very curious to see what Phil Spencer has to say next week. Hey, before we end the show here, I do have one more thing I want to talk about. Last week, I actually didn't end up doing a show. I ended up like getting kind of sick and, things just kind of came up. But there was a PlayStation State of Play that I wanted to talk about. I never got a chance to kind of talk about it. I mean, this is kind of old news at this point, so I'm not going to like dwell on it too long like I would have last week, but I just want to mention a few things. So during the State of Play, they did show off Stellar Blade. I thought the trailer for Stellar Blade looked really, really cool. It had like this Final Fantasy VII sort of aesthetic to it, while also kind of like having a Nier sort of thing going on, but also kind of like a Bayonetta thing going on. I don't know. I hate being that guy that's like, it's like if you combine this game with this game, but come on, that's just like an easy way to describe what's going on here. The game looks really fun. It looks awesome. What else did they show? We got Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. I know the Sonic fans are going to be super excited about that. What else is worth talking about? A Godzilla crossover with Dave the Diver, which that's cool. For me, Dave the Diver got old really quick, but I don't know. People seem to like it. What's another thing that was like really, really cool and worth talking about? I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff at this thing, so I don't want to like anything that I'm not talking about doesn't mean I don't like it, but I just kind of want to hit on some of the bigger things like Rise of the Ronin. I thought Rise of the Ronin looks phenomenal. Sort of this like samurai-esque game. Almost seems like kind of almost open world-esque. It looks really cool and really polished. I'm kind of surprised by how nice it looks, and the combat looks really fun. It does kind of have like a Ghost of Tsushima thing going on, but you use guns and stuff too as well, which is super fun. Also, the thing that sort of separates it more from Ghost of Tsushima is it does seem to have like some supernatural elements to it. Ghost of Tsushima was like very, very grounded in reality. And then we got Until Dawn remaster got announced, or maybe it's a remake. I loved Until Dawn. It was just like a perfect, like Scream, or just like those teenage horror type movies, put perfectly into a game. And I absolutely loved it. I don't know if I'll play this remaster. I don't know if it's something I necessarily want to do, since I've already played the game before. But it might be something I will check out if it ever goes on sale for like really cheap. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was the Death Stranding trailer at the end. God damn, Death Stranding 2 looks insane. To me, it looks like Hideo Kojima took the criticisms that people gave for the first game and said, okay, fuck you guys. I'm going to knock it up. I'm going to notch this bitch up to 12,000%. And it just looks absolutely bonkers. I love the first game. Love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I thought the gameplay loop was really fun. I thought the narrative was engaging and thrilling. I thought the acting was incredible. I thought visually it was stunning. But it did have a level of tedium to it, and it started to introduce a lot of like gunplay that was really, really fun, but it wasn't until like really towards the end of the game. And to me, it seems like this game comes out the gate swinging with some really insane gameplay right out the gate. And it also seems like the narrative is like notched up to 12,000%. It almost seems like less serious. It seems more goofy and like silly. I mean, like Troy Baker's character comes out with a guitar and starts fighting dudes with his guitar that like shoots out electricity and shit. Like, it just seems insane, and I'm all about it. And if you have a problem with that because you really like the first game's like darker narrative, which I also loved it, you could still go play that game and that darker narrative will exist. And this is Kojima we're talking about. I'm sure this game will still have a pretty dark narrative. It just seems like it has a lot more like fantasy elements to it. So I am so excited for Death Stranding 2, and I can't wait for this game to come out. The one thing I was really saddened by was it said it won't come out until 2025. I was really hoping it would come out this year, especially since Sony has nothing coming out this year. So this would have been like a nice thing to sort of add to your release calendar if you were Sony. But unfortunately, here we are. Take your time, King. Do what you need to do. I want to jump into a section that we lovingly call What You've Been Playing. I just want to talk about a couple games I've been playing. First and foremost, I have been playing The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and I have been really, really enjoying replaying that game. A lot of people were complaining, oh my god, why would they remaster this game? It's a $10 upgrade if you already own the game. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, they remastered it for the PS5 so it like runs better, and they added a ton of features that I appreciate and think is fully worth the $10 upgrade. For one, they added this new mode called No Return, which is sort of like a roguelike sort of thing. I think I talked about it on my last episode, but I'll talk about it again here. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's lacking some depth, and like I think you can play it for a few hours and be like, okay, I get the idea of it. It was pretty fun, and then like kind of move on with your life. But yeah, it's a pretty cool mode, and I appreciate that it's there and it's something to do. The other thing that I really enjoyed about this re-release is they added director's commentary, and I've been replaying through the story on Grounded, and for me, I haven't played the game on Grounded, so it's sort of like a new experience. It's fucking hard. But when I get to a cutscene as well, the cutscenes have like Neil Druckmann talking over them, or Ashley Johnson or Troy Baker kind of discussing what it was like to make these particular scenes and stuff, and it's super fascinating and very, very cool. I highly recommend, if you want, just like going back to that game, putting the game on the easiest difficulty and just getting to all the cutscenes just to hear all the director's commentary, because it's quite fascinating, some of the things that I'm learning about this game. The other game I've been playing a lot of that came out over the weekend is a new PlayStation game called Helldivers 2. I loved Helldivers 1. I thought it was a ton of fun. And when they showed the trailer for Helldivers 2, I'm like, wow, that's Helldivers 2. It's a completely different type of game. Helldivers 1 had this like over the top sort of point and click almost kind of shooter vibe to it. But this game is a third person shooter, a third person over the shoulder shooter. So like a completely different vibe. It keeps like some of the mechanics and thoughts behind the first game, and they put it into this like really cool third person over the shoulder shooter. I think the gunplay is like really, really good and fun in this game. I think playing it with friends is incredibly fun. You have these things called stratagems where you can make upgrades to your ship that stays in the sky while you're doing a mission, and it can like send down a machine gun and orbital strikes and different like air strikes, and you can upgrade it as you go. And the reason it's so fun to play with friends is because friendly fire is on. So if you drop an orbital strike and you don't warn your friend about it and he walks over there, your friend is dead. And then you have to call in the reinforcements to get your friend back. And it's just like so goofy and fun to play. And also like the aesthetic of the game is like so Starship Troopers, where everyone's like, I'm doing my part, you know, like everyone's like, I'm here to fight for freedom. It's like so goofy and like obviously a parody on nationalism and stuff. Like really, really awesome. When this game first came out, it came out day and date on PlayStation and PC, which is not normal for PlayStation. PlayStation never does that. And I think it's an interesting business move from PlayStation to try that out, considering they've never done it. And it seems to be working really well for them because this is the best-selling PlayStation game on Steam ever. It also, I think, had like 200,000 concurrent players just the other day, which is like an insane amount of players. The only issue was day one, it did have a lot of glitches and bugs that seem to have been mostly patched out. My game did crash like twice, but even with that, like it was barely noticeable. I've had a couple bugs where I've like gotten stuck in rocks and stuff, but like it's not like the worst thing that I've ever experienced on a PC. It still works pretty well, and it seems like they're working on bugs really quickly. So I wonder, is PlayStation gonna move forward with this in the future? Are they gonna continue releasing more games day and date with PC and PlayStation? I don't think so. And I don't think so for the very reason I was talking about earlier with Xbox, because as soon as Xbox started doing that, their sales went down dramatically. But what I will say is what's possible is potentially PlayStation will drop games day and date on PlayStation and PC when they're games like this. And what I mean by that is they are games that are live services, because what I forgot to mention is Helldivers is a live service. It does have a battle pass. It does have microtransactions. So if PlayStation has more of these games, I know like Concord comes out later this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that game comes out day and date with PC and PlayStation. When Marathon comes out from Bungie, that could be another game that comes out day and date with PC and PlayStation. Totally possible. But I think games like The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, anything else that they may be working on that are like single player games, like whatever Sony Bend is working on, I think those games will continue to be PlayStation exclusives, because that's what sells the consoles. Live service games aren't selling your consoles. You need to sell people on live service games. Live service games don't sell people on your console. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So I think if Sony makes more live service games, we might see those. But well, that's the show. And before I wrap up here, I just sort of want to shout out all of the games that are coming out next week. We have Banishers Ghosts of New Eden coming to everything except for the Switch on February 13th. Dragon Quest Builders is coming to PC on February 13th. Island of Insight PC, February 13th. Lisfanga, the Time Shift Warrior, comes to PC February 13th. Ultros is coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and PC on February 13th. Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, is coming to everything on February 14th. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered is coming to everything on February 14th. A Little to the Left is coming to everything except for the Switch and PC on February 15th. Lake is coming to Switch on February 15th. Plate Up is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, and Switch on February 15th. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is coming to Switch on February 16th. And Skull and Bones is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X, Stadia, and PC. Does Stadia even exist anymore? What the fuck? I didn't think Stadia even existed anymore, and it's coming to that. So, hey, look out for that. Skull and Bones, baby. It's finally coming out, and I've been seeing nothing but terrible things about that game. So I'm excited to check that one out. Anyway, I will check you guys later. I will talk to you guys, I don't know, next week, I guess. Hopefully next week. We'll see what happens. Love you. Bye-bye. Hey, check us out on twitch.tv/lonercast, by the way.